because she went onto the little details and said, oh yeah, I should do that. This is the data management plan, or what I've been trying to do in the last 2.5 weeks. I know it took forever, but it's done. So as a reminder, what is a data management plan? It's a document where you specified exactly what you're going to do with the data, how you're going to get the data, and all the things that are related with it. Let's go over an overview. The first part is the description of the project. This data management plan was specifically made to fulfill the needs of the project that I hope I will get sponsored. And yeah, and those are like the details, specific details. Now the parts that are below are now the more general stuff. So we have the data description and how we're going to get that kind of data, if it's going to be data that we will be creating or we will be reusing from somebody who already published. In our case, it's a little bit different from a normal lab, because our lab is going to be 50% bioinformatics and 50% wet lab or traditional lab experiments. Then we have the section about organizing and documenting the data, how we collect, how we organize, what kind of types, data types and sizes are we going to be about dealing with. It is very difficult, more for the data that we will be reusing, but as I said, this document has to be flexible. What kind of formats we're going to use, so we're trying to be using all formats that are usually used by everybody. What kind of structure and names are the files going to have, the directory, what kind of data format, the documentation, how is it going to be done, how we're going to what exactly is metadata, and how we're going to associate the metadata with the data. What things are we going to consider, how we're going to process the data that we get. So first, are we going to use a version control system, and how we're going to guarantee that it's interoperable so that machine and human can read it independently of the operating system. What steps are we going to have to control the data quality? Now, the part that I was not sure about, and that's the one that I told you maybe in the videos that I found in Red Hat website, is what kind of storage it exists. I had no idea how to classify it. I know about my hard drive, I know how USB sticks, I know maybe how the cloud works, but I have no idea how they are officially classified. So I was able to use that information, classify where are we going to store everything that we do. Now, in the case of data that should not be freely accessible because of ethical issues, that will be this section 8. We are not going to have any, because bacteria and sequences don't have private data, but I mean, we have to say that we don't have it, so it has to go in there. Now the next section is about how we're going to archive and publish the data. What kind of repositories are we going to use, and how are we going to do kind of like the backups of our data so that they are available for a very long time. If we're going to discover data, which is the next section, how are we going to identify that we need new data, how we're going to search for it, and how do we think that we will gain access to that data. The appendices that I did, and they are more to help the person, in this case my students and myself, because believe me, in 6 months I won't remember the details of what I wrote here. So this is information that we will need to understand what was I thinking about the about the data management plan when I wrote it, and things that we might need. So first is the Creative Commons licenses. I took it from their website, and the idea is that if my students or myself want to copy one of the licenses, the text, it will be here, and we don't have to go all the way to the website and to copy into our code. There is as well an agreement to follow the data management plan, and every person involved in the project should sign it. And it's more that the people are aware what the consequences will be if they don't follow the data management plan. I mean, as part of the team, I need to know that everybody is doing the same, so that in far, far away time, I am sure I can understand their data, and that we will have the documentation, and if we want to share the data, we can do it without spending again 6 months trying to understand what that person did. And then come the fair data principles, which I told you that I had to do a presentation, and when I did the presentation, I did this part as well. And the D part was the longest one. And the D part is the practical approach to the data collection and storage. And these are kind of like the checklists and protocols of how are we going to document every single type of data we collect or we gather from an external source. And that one was very long. I will make available all the appendices so you know what it is, because this is more for my lab, and that's one of the things that I try to adapt. But the section D, actually, it was inspired by the data management plan posted in the website from Professor Lena Daumann from the chemical faculty of the LMU. I found it by accident while I was looking for data management plans, and it was really, really helpful, because she went onto the little details and said, oh yeah, I should do that. So that's the part that it took a little bit longer. I really hope it helps. And yeah, everything will be available in the repository, so for you guys to look at it. Not the whole data management plan, because I will put the template. I left in the first sections the questions that guided me to be able to fill those parts. This is all based on the documentation posted by the CESTA called Adapt Your Data Management Plan, and is really, really helpful. All the other sources that I use are in the source area or in the source part. I will place it as well in the repository so that you guys can look at it. And yeah, that's all what I did. That took forever, but it's done. So okay, so I hope you guys enjoy it, can use it, and if you have any questions, just feel free to post them in the comments, and I'll try to get back to you, or I will tell you which resources maybe help you. We will see each other for our next adventure. Ciao, ciao.